I didn't actually walk into Joe's Rent-A-Boat, I was born into it. It's something that I started from a very young age and being around the boats and on the water. Well, I had a passion for it all the way through my life, and everything I've done has been oriented with being on the water and around the water. Joe's Rent-A-Boat has been my life. We're ready for business. My name is Joseph Emerson Guion, and I go by the nickname of Jay, J-A-Y.
Are there any other nicknames that people may know you on the island?
I hope not. I was born in October 18th, 1938. It's tough getting old. This getting old is not for sissies. The Dr. Bussey that was here on the island was away on vacation, so they took my mother on a fishing boat over and drove up to Los Angeles, and I was born in the Los Angeles Good Samaritan Hospital.
And so have you lived on the island your whole life?
Not yet. This is a picture of myself graduating from high school. I graduated from high school in '56. My graduating class was 18. There were a few people that changed back and forth, but for the best part of it, we went all through school together. When I was in high school, we were able to catch a pig. She had these real long eyelashes, so we named her Maybelline. I had a Corvette that I had brought to the island. I'd take the car out, wash the car, and then I'd get her wet and brush her all off with soap and water. She'd take off and run up the street just as hard and fast as she could. And about 10 minutes later, she'd be back down and I'd be doing something, and she'd come and just kind of root at me and get my attention, and I'd pet her. And so I'd started putting her in the Corvette. People would say, "Where are you going with a pig in a Corvette?" And I said, "I'm going to a barbecue." Everybody was amazed, but she loved to go in the car with me. Welcome to Falls Canyon. This is where Avalon Boat Stand has its warehouse facilities, where we store the boats in the wintertime. This is our warehouse, and let me open the doors for you. We've been in business for the last 96 years, so a lot of the wooden boats that we started with years ago were handmade here on the island, as we're making our own boats as we go along now. These are kind of interesting in this drawer here. These are block planes that we have from when the boats were originally made that shape wood. You can see the curvature in it with the knife blade, and the other one fits right into that groove, see, like that. So as you put the boat in the water, as this gets wet, the wood gets larger and it stops it from leaking. So when I was a child, we'd put the boats in the water and we'd take them out and fill them full of water and let them sit on the moorings for 2 days, and then we'd bail them out and they were ready to use for the summer. As we walk along the windows here inside the warehouse, you can see that we have different workbenches, electrical tools in this section. C-clamps are up on the rods here on the wall. You can see a little better the wall of signs up here in all the different places. There's JJ's Pebbly Beach area, Catalina Adventure Tours. Those are all people that we've been in a kind of a competitive business, but in business together here all on Catalina because it's such a close section. My mother and father met here on Catalina Island. My dad is Joseph Stevens Guion. He goes by the nickname of Joe. And my mother's name is Frances Proctor Lamb, L-A-M-B. My father's family settled in Pasadena. They traveled down in the early 1900s, very early 1900s. My dad heard about Catalina and wanted to see it. So he got on the Pacific Electric red car, got a ticket and on the steamer, came to Catalina and fell in love with it immediately. He got a job, so he came over here to go to work at age 14. My dad would get an idea about what was sellable, and then he would go into business. Got involved in coin-operated machine business. This is one business where he had jukeboxes and pool tables and one-armed bandits. He'd take my brother and I down, and he'd take the change out of the machines and spread them out on one of the tables, and that's where we learned to count change. As the time went along and televisions came along, he put in RCA television, that type of equipment. He was a very busy businessman. My mother worked in the stores, and she would go down in the morning and work until late in the afternoon, then she'd go back to the house and take care of the dogs that we had and get the house cleaned up and ready to go. I have one older brother that has passed away. His name was Anthony David, and we called him Tony. This photograph here would have been in approximately 41, 42. It's a picture of myself, my dad, and my older brother. At rowboats, we were renting for 35 cents an hour. My dad bought the boat stand in 1927. Bought it from a man by the name of Pard Matheson that was a shipbuilder. He'd worked for Pard for a while. He used to drive the Catalina Flyer boat that would go around the island. At the end of the season, 1927, Pard said, "Joe, why don't you buy Avalon boat stand?" And here we are. And my first wife was Virginia Lister, had been married to a fellow that they graduated from high school, Ron Telsky. He went to Japan on a movie and fell in love with a girl in Japan. And so she put the kids in the car and drove down to San Pedro and got on the boat and came to Catalina and never went back. Virginia and I were together for quite a while and raised the children. My son is JJ, natural son is JJ. Being older people at the time that JJ was born, she didn't think that she was going to be able to deliver. So she called me up. She said, "Would you come right straight home?" She said, "My water's broke and I'm not sure what's going to happen." I drove home and, well, it would all happen so fast. It was all kind of automatic with what I needed to do and how I needed to handle things. And then after he was out and I had cleaned his airway, and then I called Dr. Brinkman, which was a friend, and said, "Jim, can you come up to the house?" And Jim says, "What's going on?" I said, "Well, Virginia just had a little baby boy." He says, "Don't tell me anything as crazy as that." He said, "Here, you cut the cord." So I cut the cord, and his mother, Virginia, and JJ went up to the hospital. And in '91, she had breast cancer, and they said, if you get along with no more cancer, she had partial mastectomy, and if you live for 3 years, you're home free on it. Well, she was just a few days over 3 years, and she died in April of '91. And then my mother died in June of '91, and my father died in August of '91. So running a business and all the employees and the family and the kids and everything, it was a stressful period of my life. The actual fact of it was difficult. Well, I was so busy working on the pier every day that it took up a lot of the stress out of it. I've always enjoyed the industry so much that I could deal with it and follow through, and I took over the boat stand and started operating in full swing at that time in '91. Some of it was a little bit difficult for me to catch on to. The rest of it was so automatic because I put my life in the business and enjoyed it. So I had all the basics pretty well down. I was about 10 or 11 years old when I started taking people back and forth to their private boats when they tie up on our moorings.
Joe's Rent-A-Boat has always been a part of your life.
Yes, and still love it today at 84 years old. The tools that you see in and out of these drawers are tools that I've worked with all my life. I try to keep these tools as organized as I can, and it does take a lot of work, but it's very worth it for being able to just walk to a drawer and pick up the particular type of tool that you want. These boxes are from the rock quarry, and these are dynamite boxes that they had, and they're cut down to where they'll fit into this shelving, and those are something that was handed down to me through the years. These are some of the first boats that we bought with the business in 1927, and we're keeping those because the pattern of boat was so good that if we want to replace them, we can take that design and reproduce the boat in other materials. The design of the boat was something that had come from when we bought the business from Part Matheson, but as the time went along and different engines and different attitudes from people, we've changed the design to keep it more passenger friendly. Being in the warehouse here that we have, we build the boats from scratch, we buy the lumber, we buy the materials. If it's repair work, then we bring them back here and do the repair work on them and put them away, and we dry store them here in the warehouse by standing up on the transoms that you can probably see them standing up behind me. They're all getting ready to go back for a swim. We start off in the first of the year with working here in the warehouse. It's dusty, it's dirty, it's work. You grind and clean and paint. Then it goes all of a sudden from here down and you put the moorings and the boats in the water. It's a whole different world. Joe's Rent-A-Boat is an area where people can come over and be a first-time captain of a boat and cruise up and down the island from Avalon Bay to the derricks at the rock quarry at the end of the island. And they come back time after time and they're thrilled of what they've seen and what they've done with boating.
I've been coming here since I was a little kid. This is probably the first time I came here was like 24 years ago. What brought me back here this time was definitely like specifically Joe's Rent-A-Boat. I came here to like get a boat and go out to Toyon Bay, out to Pebbly Beach and get some fish that I can't get just off the pleasure pier. I would do it again. I've been doing it again for like, you know, since I was a kid. So this is probably the 20th or 30th time I've rented a boat here. Most people that have gone in the boat at one time, they'll be back either one time more or several times in different seasons coming back and forth. A lot of times, especially if they've been out 2 or 3 times, we recognize the face and we recognize the name when they come back. So we say hello to them and greet them and we put them in a boat and get them on their way, and they're out having a good time along Catalina Island coastline.
It was great. It was a good time. A little bit of waves, just the right amount of waves, I would say.
Yeah, it was. I designed that.
Yeah.
Saw some seals, right?
Yeah, we saw
some cool jellyfish.
Lots of wildlife out there. We saw bioluminescent jellyfish.
Have you ever done Joe's Rent-A-Boat before?
No, but
First time.
that was the best ever. Yeah, really. Yeah, we highly recommend.
Of course, we see the children growing up as the families go along, and they always look and see who's there in the office working, and so they recognize all those people coming in and out. And it's like returning to something like a county fair where you wanted to go in and see all the stuff.
We get compliments all the time on people coming back and say, this is the greatest thing I've done on Catalina. And that's a very rewarding thing to have somebody say that to you that's a first-time boater. I have put this business now into a family trust. It has my son, JJ, all signed up, and when I go to the big Catalina in the sky, then it'll automatically transfer to him. He's just very smart, very intelligent young man, has a good feeling for things.
We've got to do some touch-up on 43 and get these other boats down.
I know that he won't have any problem at all stepping into my shoes because he's doing about 90% of it now. We work every day, all day long. I'm thrilled that he's in my life, and I hope that he feels the same. His wife is very involved with the little gift shop that we have out on the pier and the work that she and her daughter do together, and we call it Joe's Tackle Box. And my grandson is Joe, after my dad, Joe. He's working for the city now in their maintenance department. He'll work the time up until he's retiring in 20 years, and he can come back to work with his dad and pick up the position that I'll give up. Let's get that out where we can see it. On the boats, we got all the CF numbers in them and ready to go.
We'll be able to do that.
These boats are getting ready to go in the water here in just a few days. When I'm working with my family, that's my happy place. Jim Parrish is our mechanic, and he's been with us for the last 25 years. Most of the people that work for us have been a number of years working. We have dock hands that have worked for us for up to 30, 35 years that come back from Mexico every year.
Always nice to see you, man.
It's always nice to see you too.
Yeah. Yeah. Remember we used to go get our drop lines with you over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, when we were
You were just a little guy then.
Yeah. Heard you were busy a couple days ago.
No, we stay busy all the time.
That's good.
There's always something to do if you slow down. You catches up with you.
Right. All right, James. Good seeing you.
It's nice to see you too.
Take care of yourself, huh?
Those gentlemen worked for us out on the pier when they were little children, working on the boats. And now they're all grown up.
Well, I worked next to Jay. I was a lifeguard here for 20 years. I describe Jay as the most outstanding man I ever met. Pretty neat guy, and he always there to help you. Catalina Island would not be the same without him, but the pier would definitely not be the same.
The corporate name, which was incorporated in 1927, was Avalon Boat Stand. Well, Avalon Boat Stand means nothing. So a good friend of my father's, Bob Plunkett, came to Catalina. Bob Plunkett said, Joe, you want to change the name that you use to Joe's Rent-A-Boat, because that tells what you do. And the Rent-A-Boat on the t-shirts and stuff we do is on a slash, and then it says Pleasure Pier. But this was the original, about 46, 47 line that he designed for us. And that's been Joe's Rent-A-Boat from then on.
And do you plan on always keeping it Joe's Rent-A-Boat?
All of my sons and grandsons, they're all Joe's, so yeah, we'll keep it Joe's Rent-A-Boat. I've got quite a number of friends that I've grown up with and known for years and years. We had a lot of fun through the years of being out here on the pier together, haven't we, Rosie? One of my best friends.
Best years?
Yeah.
We had a lot of fun.
Well, we had a lot of parties out here with Rosie entertaining us and having her family out here.
We'd wait until it was 6 o'clock to close up, and then we all head out to the fish market. And I always fixed a 5-course dinner for them. And I had 40 people night after night. Once, a couple of times I had 80. I had that barbecue going, and I made big salads and whole smear. I even had a big roar. We enjoyed the food, we enjoyed the pier, we enjoyed each other.
It was a memorabilia in my life with being able to know them through their lifetimes like in my lifetime. I don't want to bring tears to Rosie's eyes.
The generations, honey. I could look at Jay and feel good about my life with him in it. What fun we had. Wish we could do it all over again.
I had known Ellen since she was, of course, a little girl, because I was best friends with her brother, John.
How old were the two of you on our first date?
Well, if I was 40, Jay is 9 years older
9
than
years,
me.
I was 49. When I saw Ellen coming out of the store, I asked her if she'd go out to dinner with me, and she said yes, she would. And so I went over to her house to pick her up.
I was watering my garden, and Jay came walking down the street wearing a white Levi's, a red cashmere sweater, and red tennis shoes. And I looked at him and I said, "Oh, you meant we're going to dinner tonight?" And he came over to pick me up in the best chick magnet in the world. It's a 31 black and tan Model A Roadster, top is down. And we drove all around the town and up to the museum and around, and we were coming down around the Chimes Tower Road, and we had been talking for about an hour. And I looked over and I heard him and I thought, oh my gosh, this is at long last love. This is the one.
We'd always had what we call a certain something where you meet somebody and right away you're good friends. Other ones, you meet them and talk to them for a couple of minutes, you think to yourself, isn't there any way I can get out of this and get away, because I'm not at all comfortable or happy with it. We have more fun than two cats in a paper bag, and people can't put that together until they meet Ellen, but she's an awful lot of fun to be with.
What do you think has been the key to such a long love that you've had for each other?
Well, I always knew that the man was the head of the family. He always had the say, the last word. And the last word that Jay has is, yes, dear. I don't know. We're blessed. We're blessed for so many reasons. It's easy to be happy, you know. It's just easy to be with Jay. We used to take our little, we had a little 24-foot skipjack and run up and down the coast and just see where the boat was going to take us. It's not so horrible that everybody in town likes him, and everybody that comes down the pier likes him, and they come by and they go, "Are you still here?" Yeah.
I love you.
You do? Thank you for finally telling me. We say I love you every single day. Not because it's like, do you say I love you today? Check. No, you just say, when it goes out the door, let me turn down your collar. I love you, babe. See you later.
I love you too. How do I feel about being old? Well, that's what the doctor said, that what I had last time I went in to see her, she says, you have OLD. But there's nothing we can do about that. That's part of life. And I do the best I can with what I've got to work with, and that's as much as I can do. As we all get older, we know that the days are getting at a shorter time. It's like taking a tape rule out, and I open the tape measure up, and at 18 is when we graduated from high school. So then I take the tape measure and I run it out and out and out until I come to 84. And 84 is where I am right now. And that doesn't leave very much at the end of the tape measure to live your life.
How does it feel to have that much left?
Oh, I'm thrilled with my life on Catalina and everything I've done and all the people I've met and seen and all the happiness with people coming back from using our equipment.
What would you say that you want your legacy to be?
The people we remember, what a job we've done as a business here in Avalon. The participation that my father had and that I followed through, and the things that we do. Being in the work I have, and I work so many hours a day in a week that where I'm not a rich person. I'm rich in who I am, but what I do. I love who I am, and I love what I do. I don't know who has a better life than what I have. Catalina has been such a joy to my life all the days that I've been here. I plan to spend the rest of them here till I go to the big Catalina in the sky.